Welcome everyone to Disruptive Conversations. And I'm watching the sun go in and out, watching my lighting change during that period of time. And here we are back together again. And today I'm so excited to have my guest, Kanika Gupta, and she has spanned the globe in terms of being on all sorts of TV channels and platforms as an interviewer. And today I get the tremendous pleasure, and so do you, of being in conversation. And so if this is the first time you've come on, welcome. We talk about change and the importance of positive change. Kanika has, here we go, she's requested. Go live for a moment. And let's see how that's going. She should be coming right on, and we're going to get going. What a smooth transition, not always
Yes,
this way. Hello, it's so great to see your face.
thank you,
And
Dr. Risa.
and so I'm going to be introducing the show, myself introducing you, and then we are off and running together. So welcome everyone to Disruptive Conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, influencers, authors, physicians, musicians, and which we deep dive into the experiences these women have needed to navigate and conquer in order to achieve their personal and professional success up to this point in time. I'm Dr. Risa Reiger, clinical psychologist, and I'm an expert in change. I help people make positive change at any point. And here's the good news. We are built for change, and positive change can happen at any point. You're never too late. But in order to create positive change, we need to disrupt. We need to disrupt a thought, a feeling, a belief, a habit in order to create your 10.0 life. And that's what this series of conversations is all about. And here to help us in that journey is my guest and someone who I've had the pleasure, tremendous pleasure of really getting to know is Kanika Gupta. And here is some of her bio. It is really something. So she's a seasoned CNN journalist, podcaster, a mom of two, including twins. She is the host of this fabulous podcast of Total Momsense, which I think is a fabulous title. How smart of you to come up with that. In addition to that, Kanika has been interviewing people including Chelsea Clinton, Kelly Rowland, America Ferrera, and her show has been ranked #1 on Good Pods for motherhood. And she's also been featured in Forbes. She's been on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, Cheddar. And here she is with us today. And Kanika, welcome. And if there's something I haven't mentioned about your bio, please let us know right now.
Oh, no, this was excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Risa. It's a joy to be here with you today.
So we're off and running together. And I have to say, you are a professional interviewer. And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now this isn't exactly an interview. This is a conversation. But I'm thinking, I'm with this real professional person here, and I'm on the other side of it. So this will be an interesting experience for both of us. So first of all, Kanika, what is it that you needed to disrupt inside of yourself in order to have achieved the personal and professional success that you have up to this moment in time?
Yes, I think I had to accept the reframe in my life. I have 3 kids, boy-girl twins, and my younger son. And motherhood was a whole journey, and it continues to be because I have Irish triplets. I had them all within a year and a half. So I had 2 one-year-olds and a newborn. And so I was really thrown into the deep end. And though I had this successful career in media as a journalist and, executive producer, I had to completely reframe when I had the kids. And I feel this disruption came from this inner voice of mine. Now I've coined it as our mom sense, our intuition, our gut instinct, that I can take all the skills that I've acquired over the years in my career and create a whole new job for myself. And so motherhood didn't end my career, it catalyzed something new. And so that was the podcast.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the reframing? We hear that a lot. And really, what does that mean? We get a lot of terminology.
Sure. I think it's truly a rewiring of your what you're hardwired to naturally do, and making a shift. I think that's what that is. So knowing that I wanted to stay in media, I still wanted to be able to meet all these incredible thought leaders and have interviews in the long format, which is what I've always loved. For the news wheel, when you're doing a package, that's like essentially what you see on the news. It's 90 seconds. You have to get the money soundbite, and just as soon as the anchor started her report, it's over. So I know that I love the long format, more kind of deeper drawn conversations. I always have. So it's like the stuff that you would see on a special, like a Dateline or a 60 Minutes. And so it's like I get to actually do that on a podcast. I love the flexibility and the freedom, where I am now not beholden to a network, nor do I have to go physically out on the field or to a studio. I get to do this from my home. And that was the reframe. It was like, okay, this is going to be a little uncomfortable. We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you are building something from scratch and you don't have this cushion of, okay, the network is going to hire you to do a job, and this is the story you're going to go tell, or this is the report you're assigned on. I have to come up with the content and the guests and everything on my own. But when you are doing things on your own terms, I can't tell you how freedom is priceless, truly.
You've really found a great spot for yourself, even if it didn't come in a totally planned way.
Yes, exactly.
So could you tell us a little bit about your journey as a woman, as the woman who you are, and a woman who I know that you show a lot about your cultural background on your Instagram, which is just, I see you with your friends, and you're, dressed and like spectacularly. And so if you could just kind of take us along on what your journey was like going into journalism, and especially as, with the cultural background that you come with.
Sure. So I was born in Bombay, or Mumbai, in India, and my parents immigrated to the US when I was 2. So I'm still proudly from India, though I'm, a US citizen now, and I was raised here. And we always had the TV on, typically news shows. So it was Peter Jennings and let's see, Diane Sawyer and Barbara Walters and Connie Chung and Oprah. And I grew up with all of these household names who got to tell stories and interview people for a living. And I thought it was the coolest thing. And it's like, wow, that's a job. So I thought, I have to aspire to do this. And so I did my master's in broadcast journalism. And even before that, I'll take it back. I learned Indian classical dance, a specific form called Kuchipudi, which hails from Andhra Pradesh in the southern India. And I trained in that since I was 5. So yeah, over 15 years. And I also trained in Hindustani vocal music. And I felt like this, like other persona would come out when I was on stage. And I just love tapping into that, like getting the feedback from the audience and interacting and making connection. And I went on to compete in a pageant that was also a cultural kind of event. It was for Miss India in DC. And I was placed as Miss India Maryland, and then went on to win Miss India East Coast. And it was that platform that I had to do an interview on a local network. And I loved it. I was like, this is so amazing. I want to know everything about what happens in production. And so the owners of this channel said, we would love to have a host. We want to have the youth, galvanize the youth to watch our channel. So they gave me my own show called Morning Brew. And yeah, yeah. So then I got to taste a little bit of this. And it's because, when I was competing, I actually enjoyed the interview section, which is the most nerve-wracking for contestants. I like that most because I was like, we can all sashay in our, evening gowns and even our cultural garb, but I want to take this mic and have them hear what I have to say and my innermost thoughts and where I stand on political issues. Like, I want to be open. And if you're given that platform, you best believe you should be using your voice. So I loved that. And I think when I look back, I'm like, hindsight's 2020. There's a reason why I'm in this field now. But that was my first taste of it, and it was all thanks to Darshan TV in Washington, D.C. They gave me, the Bhutanis were the owners, they gave me that opportunity, and I thought I need to pursue my master's in broadcast journalism so that I learn everything about this industry. I want to know what the camera operator does, what the field reporter does, how to manage a teleprompter and cue in the CGs, the character generators, which are the graphics that show up. And I thought, if I can understand every single role in a newsroom, then I'll have a holistic view. And I went down the path of, a correspondent and anchor. But if you said, like, you're doing tech, I could do it.
So you really put yourself in the space of challenge.
Yeah.
And what do you think it is inside of you that has that? So that challenge for you isn't like, not that we don't feel nervous with it, or that we can either be nervous or be fearful of it, but even with being nervous and fearful, that you step forward. What can you tell us more about that from inside you?
Sure. I think it's two things. One is my insatiable curiosity. I love to ask questions and learn. I am a forever student. So just meeting with people, having them share their life lessons. I have a lot of friends who are much older than me. They're in a completely different phase of life. You're an empty nester. And I just want to be like, tell me everything. Prepare me for what's ahead. I have such a deep respect for that. So I like to learn from others. And the second thing would be a growth mindset. I feel like it's important for me to constantly be improving, and you can't do that unless you embrace the change and you're out of your comfort zone. And so when you're in a situation where everything's new, and sure, it's challenging and daunting, and then you have the inner voices and the imposter syndrome that bubble up, you put yourself out there anyway, because the next day, I'm a better version of myself because I learned from that experience.
You're also teaching yourself, and one of the things I talk about, and here, for our communities who are listening in, and maybe people who are new to our communities, welcome, that you're teaching, it doesn't work the other way, but that you're teaching your brain what it needs to know.
Exactly.
And that somehow throughout what you've been telling us so far and sharing with us is the idea that I go in and ask questions. I'm the person who likes to try something new. So it sounds like you've also been developing a self-narrative
Yeah.
that supports you.
Yes. Yes, 100%. And yeah, I can extrapolate on this. Parenting is in that same vein. It's brand new. Once you make this choice to become a parent and you're kind of in the throes of it, you're constantly challenged. You're constantly faced with triggers head on. And you're learning about your children who are growing every day, but hopefully there's some growth in you too. And so that's why I was like, I'm zeroing in on parenting as the through line for my show because I want to learn. And I feel like there were so many things that I enjoy and appreciate that I learned from my parents. But there's some things that I could do without. You know, I had immigrant parents who were really, trying to survive in this country. And so their needs and their values were different at the time. And they were doing the best that they could with the resources they had. But now I want to make sure that I kind of rewrite the narrative to be authentic to me. And so how I raise my children is very different. And I want to make sure I'm gleaning from others. So this show is an opportunity for me to reparent myself and allow everyone to be on this journey with me.
That's so absolutely crucial. And we talk about child development and child stages of development. What we don't talk about enough, and I was on faculty and worked with children and of course parents, adults, and things move on from there, is that we don't talk enough about the importance of parental developmental stages.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I love that. And I think um, emotional regulation and having these social emotional skills, the fact that that's in our vernacular now is incredible. I wish I knew that when I was 5. We didn't have enough of the tools and the experts that we have now. So I'm glad that we can easily say that because I definitely was a child who had big feelings, super sensitive, perfectionist, And so I think as I see my kids navigating their lives, they're like a mirror. I'm like, oh my God, I did that when I was 5. I did that when I was 6. And so I am reframing and, kind of changing myself as they are as well. And it's great. I'm so glad that we all get to do it together.
And parenting also, I mean, I don't want to say that parenting is the only way. We can make changes in our lives. We can change our perceptions. We can break into and create new narratives that are based on who we are and how we experience at this point in time.
Right.
At the same time, parenting is also an opportunity. It's an extraordinary opportunity to see what comes up in you and really have that opportunity to rework. And is there a particular, one that you would feel comfortable and help us understand? Well, was there one instance that came up with you that was just like, okay, came up with kids? Because there's
Yes.
nothing than you're thinking to yourself, I am a grown-up person and I am here with, now you would have them at the same time, 2 3-year-olds. I would have 1 3-year-old and 1 3-year-old could like get me to my knees. And,
Yeah.
2 3-year-olds.
Teenagers is hard.
Right. Can you think of specific incidents that you would feel comfortable sharing with us? We'd so appreciate it.
Sure.
Of what a trigger time is like, wait a minute, and sent you back to you.
Yes, I have a couple for you.
Okay.
One was with my daughter, and she was 4 at the time, like still in daycare, and she had a worksheet that she had to work on at home. It was just, coloring in an Easter bunny and some Easter eggs. And she messed up. Her crayons went out of the line and she threw a fit. She was like, oh my God, I messed up. She crumples the paper. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she just wasn't having it. So of course, my heart's racing and I'm feeling a lot of anxiety as I see that, because as parents, we're also like, it's not a big deal. You're coloring. It's not a big deal. But in their world and in their context of life, it's a very big deal. It's kind of like if we bomb a presentation and just, like forget what to say, or we had a failure. Like if I had a pitch to a brand or someone and it didn't work out and I got a rejection, like it's that same pit in your stomach that she felt when she messed up. And so I had to take a minute, and this is like after this has happened a few times. So
Yes.
it was a learning. It's like, believe me, yeah, I lost it on other occasions.
No?
Yeah, not the first time. But in this instance is when I actually caught myself. And I was like, this is what's happening to me when she has a breakdown. And I got down real close, eye level. They all, all parenting experts, childhood development experts would say to do that. Yes, look them straight in the eye. And I said, you know what? Mistakes happen to everybody, even adults. We all make mistakes. And the best thing to do is to make something better out of it. I mean, even Daniel Tiger says that. Take something good and make it something new. So there's so much kind of like tools and, fun songs and stuff like that out there about this. So I said, okay, how about we make this line that I had to uncrumple the paper. I wasn't going to give her, I didn't have any worksheet. So it's like, we got to work with what we have here and turn this into a bow. Let's make it a little bow. How cute is that? And she loved it. And I was like, you don't have to feel completely defeated when you mess up. You can turn it into something better. But it takes taking a moment to do that. And she loved it. Another scenario where I had to, again, there were mirrors and made me channel my own self-regulation was when I have the 3 car seats in the back when I'm driving. I'm in New Jersey, I'm often on the...
How do you get to the middle? I would have 2. And
yeah, I have a minivan, very much soccer mom vehicle. It's the best. We can seat 8. So we can still seat 5 more adults in addition to those 3 car seats, which is like, I basically drive a bus, which is so funny.
I'm so impressed.
Never thought of it. So yeah, there's 2 seats here and 1 in the row at the back. And so my son was actually all the way at the back. And I don't remember what he was crying about, but he was inconsolable. And I was driving on the turnpike and I was like, I can't pull over. And all I hear is this like cry that I can feel reverberating in my head, and I just felt like, okay, Shrey, you can't really say calm down. I've learned that just gets them even more riled up. Just like if someone were to tell you, if you're, just not having it, if someone says, Dr. Risa, just calm down, you're not going to calm down. So it's the same, even though they're so much younger than us. And again, made the mistake many times before, but in this instance, I was like, I know exactly what to do. So, so I said, Shrey, I know that you're really, really upset right now. If I were you, I'd feel upset too. So I see you and I believe you. I believe that you have a right to be upset about what happened. I don't even remember right now. But let's think of how we can, I basically wanted to deflect and think about the present moment. It's like, let's think about where we are right now. So we're going to do the 5 senses. Look out the window. Tell me 5 things you see. So he's like in between his like ugly cry. He's like, okay, I see a pickup truck and a red car and a blue car and trees and signs. I was like, great. Okay, now tell me 4 things that you can hear. I can hear the siren. I can hear the music on. I hear Christian Suhana, whatever. Then 3 things that you feel. I feel my lap desk on my lap. I feel my socks. I feel my pants. And 2 things that you can smell. And that could be, sometimes we skip that one. It's like, I don't really smell anything. I'm like, yeah, me neither. Okay.
That's
And then
okay.
one thing you can,
Moms
yeah,
can do
one,
that. It's number
exactly.
one.
Exactly. And then one thing that you can taste. And it's like, my banana. Great. And like in that moment, it's just, we're so past that cloud of a meltdown has sailed away. We're over it. And it's just, it works like magic. I do that all the time. I do it to myself. I'm just like, if I'm having any kind of struggle, I try to come back to the present moment. And you can do this by looking out and kind of noticing where you are in your environment, or take it in too. And what am I feeling in my body right now? You know, my stomach is gurgling, or, you know, I feel like a little lightheaded, or whatever it may be, but just bringing it back to like where you are in this present time is so calming. And then that emotion that might have felt negative has passed.
So in that's such those are beautiful, those are really beautiful examples, and really appreciate, and I'm sure everyone else who's listening is also really appreciating the fact that you said, and you know what, I didn't get it on the first try. It didn't, you know, there like I had 8 things to do. The kids were not cooperating. They needed to be in the car now.
Right.
Someone's having a meltdown. Somebody else wants a snack. And I just said I knew exactly what to do at that moment. You
No.
know, this is not how life goes.
Yeah.
And you were able to really learn about self-regulation with your kids, for your kids, and for yourself. Because if we're, you know, if we're vibrating at a very high frequency, our kids are going to pick that up. That's number one. And that what you did, just to also like really highlight what's so beautiful and embedded in what you did, is that your kid is on an emotional free fall, and they are unavailable for logic,
Yes.
right? They are,
Yes.
they're not available. And so don't bother, because
Right.
you'll get frustrated, they'll get frustrated, and you go into something in the moment that is present action and that they can do. And so you help them like get their thinking part of their brain back online
Yeah.
and have it start to become available. The secret, though, is that when you're doing that for your kid, you're also doing that for yourself, so that you're, you know, really reinforcing the connection with the thinking part of your brain,
Yeah.
so that you can be, and then you can finish up and have this lovely story to tell
Yeah.
that started from a rocky spot.
Exactly. Exactly. And in fact, I want to just advise that, like, this is something that I did, because there's times where I have pulled the car over and I am just yelling bloody murder. So I will admit that, where I'm like, it's okay. So it's totally, it happens to all of us. But when you do have moments like that too, you can close the loop. And I always did do that. Later on, like it could be in the evening that day when they're tucked in for bed, and it's like a very kind of safe space and a special moment. I'll say, you know what? Mommy was really frustrated when I was driving. And when I heard all the noise in the back and the crying and stuff, that's why I yelled. And I shouldn't have. I should have talked to you calmly. And so I should control when I'm feeling upset. And I'm sorry. And I think that's something that I never really heard from my parents. Like, you know, getting an apology as a 5-year-old, there was no way. But that's something that I am doing for my kids. It was like, if I make a mistake, I will take the onus is on me to take ownership of it. That way they can do it too. And then I feel better about it, because it's a crappy feeling when things escalate. And so there's a way to just close the loop and we're done.
And you're modeling for them not just the apology, but very importantly, self-reflection. And that get to take a step away from yourself to observe and to bring awareness to what you're doing.
Right.
You get a chance to reflect and to think about it and learn something from what has happened for you to take forward. So we don't have to stay necessarily in the space of just shame and disappointment in ourselves, that we can take something else with us. We can feel that at the moment, we can take else with us. And that you are doing that. I'm pointing at you.
Yeah, I love it.
And that
I feel like I got a gold star today.
Yeah, that you are doing that and you're modeling that for your children without saying, now I'm taking a step back. You're just doing it. And they get to be the recipients and they'll pick up on it for sure. So I knew it was going to happen, and our time is really, we're closing in here. And my last question for you, although I have a million questions, and there's something I just heard, that with every question that gets answered, and you who are the, love, curiosity, and intellectual curiosity, emotional curiosity, with every question that's answered, there are 10 more questions that spring up to be answered.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
you're actively listening, so that's why.
There we have it. So what is your next disruption?
Ooh, oh my goodness, I love this. There are many. I mean, I am working on a series right now. It's called In Their Element, and I've just shot the pilot of the series, and it's with Chef Vikas Khanna, who is a Michelin star chef, also from India. Came from very humble beginnings. I just released the podcast on my show, but this is going to be part of a bigger, show, and it's called In Their Element, where I get to meet these luminaries where they are. It could be in a bustling kitchen, or on stage in front of a massive live audience, or in a nook in their house where they write their next bestseller. Because I want to really capture where they thrive, how they actually pull from where they are, from their environment, and then very tangential to what my podcast is, their life lessons and their legacy. So In Their Element is coming out, and then I'm also working on a book that's an anthology of all the incredible guests I've had on the show. Chelsea Clinton and Kelly Rowland and America